They said I fell from the sky. Naked. Laughing. Covered in blood. And still breathing. Now they keep me in a golden cage, whispering that I might be the god who ends their world. The first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was blue trees, blue mist, blue blood. Something had died nearby. Something big. Its corpse steamed in the humid air of a jungle I didn't recognize. The scent was copper and rot. My hands were sticky. My heartbeat, silent. My mind? Blank. I stood. Unsteady. My limbs moved before I could question them, like they belonged to someone else. The creature lying beside me 3 times my size, tusks shattered, ribs punctured from the inside had died violently. By my hands? I didn't know. But I was smiling. That much, I remember. The jungle pulsed with alien life. Insects the size of my fist buzzed by. Leaves shifted, whispering. Then came the sound of metal disciplined, deliberate boots stomping through foliage. They surrounded me in seconds. Giants, blue-skinned and armor-clad, each carrying weapons carved from bone and light. Their faces were unreadable, carved from years of war. One stepped forward, her armor trimmed in black, her eyes sharp like obsidian. She didn't flinch when I looked at her. Most people flinch when I smile like that. "Who are you?" she asked in a voice that sounded like crushed stars. I shrugged. "Good question. Where did you come from?" "Up," I said. Then laughed. They bound me in chains made from some kind of living metal that hummed against my skin. As they hauled me through the jungle, I caught her name in the murmurs. Viola. A commander, perhaps. She watched me like one studies a riddle made of knives. It took days to reach their city. Zerethkai wasn't built. It was grown. Towers of crystalline bone rose like teeth from the planet's surface, pulsing with bioluminescence. Bridges of living stone breathed beneath our feet. The sky was red here, always red, casting everything in the hue of old wounds. I was paraded through the streets. Valary giants with eyes like moons stared as if I were an omen. Children hid. Elders whispered. Some threw petals. Others threw rocks. They took me to the Spire of Queens. A palace forged from the skeleton of a creature I couldn't name. There, atop a throne of still living marble, sat Jeria, the last true queen of Valarion. Her presence silenced the chamber. Tall even by her people's standards, her skin shimmered like polished sapphire. Her eyes, however, were ancient. Tired. She studied me for a long time. "This is the one?" she asked Viola. Viola nodded. "He was found near the ancient crater. Alone. No ship. No memory. But, he fought like something old. Does he have a name?" "He calls himself nothing." The queen tilted her head. "Then he will be Orun. The dark sky before the storm." That was the first time I heard it. Orun. It felt like a bruise blooming in my chest. Not a name. A warning. The queen rose. "He is not to be harmed. Not yet. Place him in the golden cage." And so here I am. A man with no past. No name but one given by strangers. Locked in a palace that breathes like a beast. Watched by a woman who sees too much, and feared by a city that remembers the prophecy I have yet to learn. They say I fell from the sky. I think I was thrown. They called it a ceremony, but it looked more like a sentencing. The arena was carved from obsidian and bone, older than the city that surrounded it. Thousands of Valari stood in silence, watching from tiers that spiraled upward like a giant hive. Above them, the sky pulsed red. Below, I stood in chains. Viola stood to my left, her face expressionless behind her war crest helm. On her right, a man carved from war itself, Karnvex. His armor bore 1,000 marks, none ornamental. A mask of golden bone covered half his face. He hadn't spoken to me yet. He hadn't needed to. The queen rose from her seat. Her voice echoed not through speakers, but through the marrow of the stone. Let us see if the sky lies. Chains fell. The gates opened. They sent in a beast. It was not just large, it was wrong. A mass of chitin and muscle, lurching on too many limbs, glowing with veins of fire beneath its translucent skin. It was blind, but it knew rage. And it knew me. Something in my gut twisted. The thing charged. I should have run. I didn't. The moment it lunged, something inside me opened like a broken door. Everything slowed. My hands moved before thought. My legs spun, twisted, balanced. The beast swung a claw the size of a chariot missed. I ducked beneath, slid forward, jammed my fist into the soft joint behind its second leg. It screamed. I roared back. The crowd gasped as I leapt onto its back, drove my elbow into its skull until it cracked like an egg. I wasn't fighting. I was remembering. When it stopped moving, I stood atop the corpse, dripping with blood that steamed in the red light. The silence was deafening. Then came the sound of blades unsheathing. Karn Vex stepped forward, spear in hand. He's a danger to us all, he said, voice cold as stone. He remembers how to kill, but not how to stop. I smiled. That didn't help. Viola moved between us. You saw what he did, Karn said. He didn't hesitate. That thing was bred to destroy armies. He ended it in seconds. That was the test, Viola replied. You wanted truth. He gave you truth. Karn didn't lower his weapon. I watched them, heart pounding. Something primal told me I could kill him. Karn knew it too. But I didn't want to. Not yet. Enough. The voice didn't belong to either of them. It came from everywhere. A figure stepped forward, smaller than the giants, draped in robes made of flowing metal and woven glass. Who is this? Karn demanded. One who remembers more than you, said the figure. Its voice was a dozen whispers. Eyes like twin suns blinked beneath its hood. I am Thryn. The name carried weight. The Valari around the arena bowed their heads. Karn lowered his spear. This one, Thryn said, pointing at me, once bore a name so old it was carved into the sky. But that name was erased, for fear it would return. The crowd murmured. Jaria stood once more. And what do you suggest we do with a man erased by history? Thryn turned to her. You lock him beneath the roots. Let him remember, or let him rot. But you do not kill him. Not yet. And so they took me to the Koilerin, the root vaults, a place of stone and memory. They say no one who goes below returns the same. I wonder who I'll be when I come back. The Koilerin was alive. Not breathing like an animal, but thinking, remembering. The roots that formed its corridors pulsed faintly, whispering fragments of old truths to anyone who dared to listen. I didn't sleep much down there. I wandered instead, tracing carvings I didn't understand and reading symbols I somehow did. Viola came often. At first, just to watch. She stood with her arms crossed, her face unreadable. I didn't know if she was guarding me or studying me. Eventually, she spoke. You walk like a soldier. But you sleep like a child who knows no safety. I looked up from a mural of flame and broken moons. Maybe I'm both. She started training me soon after. Not openly, Jaria hadn't given the order. But perhaps she sensed what I was beginning to feel too. If I didn't learn to survive in this world, it would devour me whole. She taught me the rhythms of Valari combat, the way their weapons moved like extensions of breath. She showed me how to walk on living stone without disturbing its hum, how to read the tone of a warrior's stance like a language. She didn't speak much. But her silence said plenty. At night, I dreamed. The dreams came in flashes. A child screaming my name. A planet burning in slow motion. A sword slick with blood, heavy in my hands. Every time I woke, My hands trembled. I didn't tell her. But she knew. She never asked what I dreamed. Only watched me more closely afterward, as if trying to see whether I would crack. She didn't trust me. Not yet. But she no longer looked at me like I was a beast. Sometimes, in the soft moments between drills, I'd catch her watching me not in fear, but with something deeper. Like she saw someone trapped inside a nightmare, and for a moment, she wanted to pull him out. Outside, the world stirred. Isaacthar's voice echoed from hologlyphs and transmission towers. A message repeated like a drum beat. The Queen feeds our fear. She shelters a storm in flesh. Orun is no myth. He is the death song of our ancestors. If we do not end him, he will end us. The city tensed. Troops moved in formation beneath blood-red skies. Civilians looked over their shoulders. Whispers grew teeth. Darius summoned Viola. I wasn't allowed to follow, but I saw them speak in the Hall of Bones. I saw Viola stiffen when the Queen handed her a blade. Later that night, Viola found me alone beneath the archive tree, where memory hung in glowing threads like cobwebs. She sat beside me, silent. What did she say? I asked. Viola didn't look at me. She wants answers. And if she doesn't like them. She finally turned to me. Her eyes were colder than I'd ever seen. Then I'm to make sure you don't return from the temple. We said nothing more that night. But the next morning, we left together. Toward the Koithal, the temple of origin. Toward whatever truth might finally shatter the silence inside me. The black desert stretched like a wound beneath a red sky. Wind howled across dunes of ash and obsidian, and the bones of ancient beasts jutted from the ground like broken monuments. This was the forgotten edge of Valarion land, untouched by the current age, cursed by what came before. Viola led the way. She wore no ceremonial armor now, only leathers and a long cloak that snapped in the wind. I followed in silence. The desert didn't welcome conversation. We traveled for 2 days. At night, we slept beneath fossilized arches. At day, we pressed forward, skirting sandstorms that shimmered with static. She didn't speak of the blade tucked at her side, the one Daria had given her. But I remembered. On the 3rd day, we reached the valley. It yawned before us, a jagged scar between ridges, lined with crystalline thorns. And in the center, half buried in black sand, stood a massive archway of blue stone. The entrance to Koithal. We stepped through. The light dimmed. The air grew thick with memory. Then came the Guardian. It crawled from beneath the sand, ancient and terrible. 8-legged, armored like a siege engine, eyes glowing white. Its roar was not sound but pressure, rattling our bones. Viola readied her blades. I reached for nothing. My hands knew what to do. It struck first. Viola dodged, slashing at a joint. Sparks flew. I climbed its back, drove my fists into the gaps between plates. It bucked, shrieked. Viola dove beneath and sliced a tendon. I leapt free just as it collapsed. Dust settled. Viola turned to me, her face flushed, her breathing heavy. Blood dotted her cheek. I laughed. A wild, reckless laugh that echoed through the temple gate. Her eyes narrowed. For a moment, fear flickered there, not for herself, but for what I might become. But she didn't look away. Inside, the temple breathed. Columns of living bone curved like ribs above our heads. Bioluminescent runes pulsed along the walls. The floor was glassy and black, reflecting not light but thought. As we walked, memories flickered across it, scenes from lives long gone. At the heart of the temple, we found him. Thryn. He stood in stillness, as if he'd been waiting not just hours or days, but centuries. His form shimmered between flesh and circuitry. His voice, when it came, was as calm as ever. You returned. We came for the truth, Viola said. Thryn nodded. Then you must see it. He extended a hand. A shard of crystal hovered above it. He placed it between my eyes. Pain. Light. Memory. The stars spun. I saw myself, standing on a ship not made by Valary hands. A soldier beside me. A mission. We were sent to Valarion, 2 weapons of war forged by Earth's last breath. Our task, to break the giants before they rose. Then I saw the child. A young Valary, maybe 8, eyes wide with terror. I had a blade in my hand. She screamed. I hesitated. The other soldier didn't. I turned on him. We fought. I won. But too late. The child was dead. The memory blurred. I remembered wandering the planet alone. Refusing orders. The ship abandoned. My mind fracturing. The Valary found me. Fought me. Feared me. And finally, they sealed me beneath the earth. I screamed. When I opened my eyes, I was on my knees. Viola stood above me, her sword drawn, trembling. You killed her, she said, voice cracking. You were made to kill us. I know. You were sent to end my people. I know. She raised the blade. Then give me a reason not to. I looked up at her. No defense. No denial. Because I stopped. Because I fought back. Because I still can. She stared for a long time. The sword hovered inches from my throat. Then she dropped it. And walked away into the dark. I stayed kneeling. Not in shame. But in memory. Zareth Kai burned. When the first blasts hit the outer spires, the sky lit up like a second sun had risen, this one cruel and made of fire. Columns of smoke twisted into the blood-red heavens as panic rippled through the city. Civilians scattered. Soldiers scrambled. The throne world of the Valary was under siege. The banners of Isaac-Dar flew above the invading force, black spears on violet fields, a symbol long forbidden. Now it marched openly through the broken gates. Karn Vex stood at the edge of the palace steps, shield in hand, watching it unfold. His armor was cracked from old wars. His eyes were calm. Hold the line, he growled to the coterie. No one gets through? Valary loyalists formed ranks. Screams rang out in every direction. Buildings collapsed as sonic cannons leveled ancient stone. Rebels surged forward like a tidal wave. Miles away, across the dark plains, Viola saw the smoke and knew. It started, she said. I stood beside her, silent. We had left the temple at dawn. Neither of us spoke of what happened inside. The memory of her blade at my throat still clung to my skin like dust. Now, we ran. We reached the edge of the city as chaos bloomed. The streets were rivers of bodies fleeing, fighting, falling. I could smell the panic in the air, thick as blood. At the foot of a ruined statue, she turned to me. Hide. Wait for me. No, I said. She narrowed her eyes. This isn't your fight. Yes, it is. Take me to him. I want to see Isaac-Dar. Her jaw clenched. Then she nodded. We made our way to the Spire of Queens through underground passages, crawling through dust and rot. Explosions shook the walls. Somewhere above, a tower fell. The sound was endless. When we reached the throne room, Jaria stood surrounded by firelight and fury. Her robe was torn. Her face smeared with soot. But her eyes still held iron. Viola, she said. You returned. Viola knelt. I did not. Jaria looked at me. You bring the storm. I bring choice, I said. For a moment, her expression cracked. Not fear, hope. Desperation wearing the mask of resolve. I want him leading the counter-strike, she said. Karn Vex stepped forward, his shield still slick with blood. You want to unleash him, he growled. The same beast who nearly killed us all in the arena? He may be the only one Isaac fears. He should fear no man. He should fear us. You are not enough. Karn's eyes burned. Neither is he. Viola stood. Enough. We don't have time to tear each other apart. Jariel looked at her. You've seen what he is. You know what lies inside him. I've also seen what he's chosen not to be. That silenced the room. I stepped forward. I don't want your throne. I don't want your crown. But if Isaac wants to end this world, then I'll end him first. Jariel nodded slowly. Then you'll have command. You'll lead the vanguard into the breach. Karn stared at me. If you lose control, if you become what they say, you won't leave the battlefield. I wouldn't want to. Viola watched it all, silent. Her gaze shifted between me and her queen. Between the man who might save them and the man who might doom them. Later, alone in the war chamber, I found her sharpening her blades. You don't trust me, I said. She didn't look up. I trust what I see. Not what I feel. And what do you see? A weapon learning to speak like a man. And what do you feel? She paused. That if I follow you into battle, I may never walk away. I said nothing. There was nothing to say. Outside, the night cracked open again, and the world begged for war. The battlefield was a wound stretched across the land, raw and gaping. Fires burned in the distance. Machines groaned under dying weight. The vanguard pushed forward, but I moved alone. Toward him. Toward Isaac Thar. He stood atop a fallen Valary monument, watching the chaos like a god surveying a broken temple. His armor was ceremonial black and violet, a banner of rebellion etched into his breastplate. When he saw me, he didn't flinch. He smiled. So, he said. You came back. I didn't know I left. He descended the ruin slowly, hands free, no weapon drawn. You were mine, Orun. Once. You crashed into our world, and I pulled you from the dirt. You were screaming, broken, lost. And I thought maybe, just maybe you were a gift. I didn't speak. You killed me, you know, he said softly. Not in body, but in faith. I believed in you. I believed you were more than what they made you. But the first time your mind slipped, you drove a blade into me. Images flickered. A storm. Blood. Isaac bent over, hand clutching his ribs. My hand holding a knife I didn't remember drawing. I didn't mean to, I said. No, he agreed. But you did it anyway. And now here we are. He gestured toward a sleek black spire behind him, pulsing with faint red light. The Tower of Echoes. We call it the Mind Spire. It remembers what we won't. You want truth? Step inside. Let it show you. I followed him. Inside, the walls shimmered with liquid memory. Light swam like fish through the air. Machines whispered names I didn't recognize. Isaac led me to the core, a floating cradle of light and crystal. Enter, he said. Let the truth remake you. I stepped forward. Darkness swallowed me. Then came the flood. I saw Earth again. Not the one I remembered from stories, but the real one, scarred, bleeding, desperate. A final war had torn the sky in half. From that wound, we were born. Bioweapons. Living tools. Meant to infiltrate, destabilize, and erase. I saw my creation, a child in a chamber of glass, suspended in sleep. My mind copied, split, reborn. The child screamed my name. Know its name. The name they gave it. A clone of my thought, my rage, my flaw. Then came Valarion. I was sent to soften the world. The child followed, a backup. A failsafe. When I refused the mission, they activated him. He didn't hesitate. He found the village. He burned it. He killed the girl, the little Valerie who had offered us food. In my grief, I killed him. Myself. I drove the blade through the backup's spine. I screamed. I collapsed. And when the Valkyrie found me, they saw only what I had done. They sealed me away. Buried me. And time forgot. The memory ended. I staggered from the cradle, breathless. Isaac was waiting. Well, he asked. I killed myself, I said. No. You killed what they made you into. You chose. And now, you'll have to choose again. He stepped close. Join me. And Doria. And the lies. Together, we can rebuild Valarion into a world without fear. Behind him, the Mind Spear still pulsed, holding every ghost I had left behind. I can't, I said. Can't or won't? I know who I was. I know what I am. But I won't be your weapon again. He stared at me, something in his expression breaking. Then go. But when the war ends, don't come crawling back. I left the tower. The wind outside smelled of fire and salt. And I knew the next time we met, one of us would not leave the field alive. The world broke open. 3 armies clashed beneath a fractured sky. The Loyalists, draped in Jaria's white and gold, rallied behind Karnvax, their shields raised against the storm. The rebels, wrapped in the violet defiance of Isaac Dar, surged like wildfire through the ruins. And in between, a third force moved disorganized, unaligned, but fierce. They followed no banner. They followed us. Viola and I led them through the breach. The battle howled around us. Valkyrie collided like living war machines. Bone shattered. Blood soaked the ground, blue and red mixing into violet sludge. Above, the floating towers wept fire. Karn fought like a myth come to life, holding the spire steps with a broken blade in one hand and a mangled shield in the other. Every time he fell, he rose again. Until he didn't. A creature twisted by forbidden tech, half Valkyrie, half monstrosity descended on the queen. Karn saw it first. He dove without hesitation, placing himself between her and the beast. It tore through his armor. He screamed once. Then silence. Jaria stood over his body, her hand shaking as she lifted her crown. Not in surrender. In mourning. I felt it then, the weight in my chest pulsing, ancient and angry. The thing buried deep inside me stirred. I turned to Viola. If I open it, I said, I don't know if I'll stop. She didn't blink. Then don't open it for us. Open it for those who can't fight back. I closed my eyes. And let go. The seal shattered. Light burst from beneath my skin, laced with screams of memory. Symbols burned into the air. For a moment, the battlefield paused. Then the ground cracked. A wave of unmaking spread from me. Not fire. Not death. Something older. It unraveled the code of every engineered weapon still hidden across Valarion, dormant clones, sleeper beasts, synthetic minds. They writhed. They screamed. Then silence. The technology that birthed me dissolved. But I remained. I saw Isaac across the field, rallying what was left of his army. Our eyes met. We ran. No speeches. No honor. Just fists and fury. He struck first, spear crackling. I caught it mid-thrust and twisted. He elbowed me in the throat. I slammed him into the dirt. He drew a blade. I broke it. We fought like brothers who had never learned peace. He landed a blow to my ribs. I felt something tear. I drove my head into his. We both collapsed. He coughed blood. I rolled onto my side. He looked at me and laughed. You're still not a monster, he said. Just a mirror. A damn mirror. I reached for him, but his eyes closed. Viola knelt beside me. Her armor was scorched, her hair matted with ash. It's done, she said. I looked around. The field was silent. Warriors dropped their weapons. The sky, for once, did not bleed. And I knew this wasn't peace. But it was the start of one. The sky above Valarion was quiet. For the first time in generations, no banners flew. No war drums beat. The throne hall stood open, its roof scorched, its stone cracked. Jaria stood beneath a shattered dome, the crown of Valerie heavy in her hands. She did not place it on her head. She set it down. No more empires, she said to the gathering. Her voice, once thunder, was now soft. No more gods. No more myths. The age of names is over. Some wept. Some stood in silence. And some, those who had only known the rhythm of war, turned and walked away, unsure of who they were without it. Viola found me at the edge of the city, overlooking the plains where blood had dried into dust. She's stepping down, she said. I nodded. Good. She looked at me. And what about you? I stared out toward the horizon, where the stars began to reappear one by one. I'm done being what they made me. I don't want to be a symbol anymore. I want to be something that chooses. She didn't speak for a moment. Then, I've found a ship. An old one. Bio-linked. Still living. It was buried near the Koithal. I turned to her. Is it fast? She smiled. No. But it's free. We left that night. Just the two of us. No guards. No flags. No destination. Before we boarded, I returned to the temple, the place where my story had broken open. The inner chamber was dark now, its memory threads dimmed. I took a blade from my belt and approached the central pillar. With slow, deliberate strokes, I carved a single name into the stone. Kael. The name they took from me. The name I chose to take back. Then I walked away. The ship greeted us with a low hum, its hull breathing slowly, like it had waited centuries just for this moment. Viola placed her palm on its core, and it opened like a flower to receive us. We didn't speak as the stars swallowed us. Time passed. And far below, on Valarion, grass began to grow where fire once raged. The people learned how to speak without shouting. To remember without bleeding. In a quiet village rebuilt near the edge of the old world, a child sat beneath the sky newly healed, staring at the temple ruins. A stranger approached, pale skin, old suit, Terran eyes. He knelt beside the child. Do you know who live here? He asked. The child shook her head. The stranger touched the stone, tracing the carved name. Kael, he said softly. He was the end of something. And maybe, the beginning of something else. He stood, looked at the stars. I wonder if he remembers us. The wind whispered. No answer came.